Welcome to Slow News. My name is Steve Boykin. I am here in beautiful Boulder Creek, California, where the flannel shirt is our state flag, the pit bull is our state bird, we occasionally drop phones, and cannabis is our state flower. Little bit of news out of Sweden. They suddenly found two new witnesses to the almost decade-old trumped-up case they had against Julian Assange. This is the case that is constantly billed as a rape case. What we know, no one has ever claimed rape. So first and foremost, this is a false angle that you're going to hear this story from for like 95% of the people that you hear from it. Julian Assange was never charged with rape. He was charged with an assault for having consensual sex, but not apparently using a condom, not telling his partner he wasn't using a condom. And then when she brought some sort of evidence against him and they ran a DNA test, nothing came up. We've got one witness that fully recanted her statement, saying that she was coaxed by Swedish police to do so. But here's the news story. This is coming out of Stockholm. Swedish prosecutors have interviewed two new witnesses in probing a 2010 allegation against WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. It said, this is the prosecution authority. It said 7 witnesses have been interviewed over the summer. This is the quote from Eva Marie Persson, the deputy director of public prosecution. She says, "We have mainly re-interviewed those individuals who were interviewed in 2010, although 2 of the persons interviewed have not previously been interviewed." Go ahead and parse that statement for a minute. But what it sounds like is that they found 2 people who, for some reason, over the course of a decade, they had not previously known about. Absolutely nothing about who these people might be or the substance of the interview was discussed whatsoever in any article that I can find. What I have seen is a rehashing of the story that we're all familiar with after these charges were filed, which of course is seeking asylum in the Ecuadorian embassy in London, the 8 years of arbitrary detention, isolation, leading up to the country of Ecuador literally selling out Julian Assange for a modern day equivalent of 30 pieces of silver. And here we are, a few months away from February, which is Julian Assange's extradition hearing, to see whether or not he will be sent to the U.S. to be, tortured and tried in front of a kangaroo court. And this is the original U.S. plan in terms of getting Julian Assange fast-tracked for extradition. They thought that because of a bilateral treaty between Sweden and the U.S., it would be easier, and certainly they would run into less legal roadblocks extraditing Assange from Sweden as opposed to Belmarsh Prison, London, England, where he currently resides. So it seems that 2 witnesses appeared out of nowhere, and we have absolutely no information whatsoever as to how they may have aided Sweden's reopening of this investigation. Because let's not forget, this investigation was shut down 2 years ago, closed. Julian Assange's legal team had made the point over and over and over and over again. If Sweden can promise us that this is not a ploy simply to fast track the extradition of Julian Assange to the US, that you are acting on your own national interest to want to find a resolution to this case, we will, of course, take part in whatever processes you may have. However, if you are being influenced in any way, shape, or form by the United States of America or its intelligence agencies, and this is in fact a ploy to fast track Julian Assange to the US for extradition, double fuck you. No, we're not going to do it. Sweden, of course, had to admit, yes, we're doing this because the US said we needed to do it. So, whatever. And Assange refused to testify because he was walking straight into a trap. It's the same reason Chelsea Manning is not going to testify. She is not going to willingly put herself in front of another perjury trap. It's the same reason Jeremy Hammond won't testify. He doesn't want to go in front of a perjury. Jeremy Hammond has made it perfectly clear that he's not going to cooperate with any fucking body in authority whatsoever. And by the way, solidarity for that. We've got it looks like we've got a clear case of extrajudicial or extra legal and more coercion on part of Swedish authorities and U.S. authorities to find a couple of witnesses who are willing to do this. Witnesses, we don't even know for sure that the original two witnesses were in fact witnesses. The Swedish police brought forth these charges. The two original women involved in the 2010 case didn't even seek charges. This is something that the Swedish police went out on their own and did. So there's, I mean, really, as far as I can tell, there's no reason to believe that the charges are legitimate, that the new witnesses are legitimate, that this is anything other than a ham-fisted attempt to fast-track the extradition of Julian Assange to the U.S. And I will let you know as soon as I know more. We will, of course, be covering this on the Free Assange Vigil. By the way, Wednesday, the regular day for the Free Assange Vigil, is also September 11th. So maybe look for something fun that day. I don't want to give it all away at this moment. Good morning, Brooke. Good morning, Dingo. Good morning, Rogue Cow. Rogue Cow, I gotta tell you, nothing makes me smile more in the middle of a Sunday morning than hearing George Galloway read your name out loud on his show with the fucking theatrical Scottish brogue he throws into every sentence he utters. It's hilarious, and it gives me a good chuckle. I dig it. Yeah, that's all I've got on the Assange thing right now. I could just as well end this clip right here. But I do have a little bit more that I want to talk about because you guys know I live in the Santa Cruz Mountains in California. I am relatively close to the Bay Area. I'm incredibly close to San Jose. And I've seen firsthand. I mean, even right down in Santa Cruz, we've got a homeless village. Yeah, I've seen California's homeless problem expand, blow up, and grow firsthand over the last 15, 20 years that I've been here. I started out homeless on the streets of Santa Cruz when I first came out here. I fucking sold pot in the park in order to come up on fucking hotel money or better tent camping money or whatever. Like I know how it can be because I've done it, and I hope never to do it again. But we live in the world's fifth largest economy, with the nation's largest escalating homeless problem. Unfortunately, the article that I am about to cite comes out of Forbes magazine because it's the only one that I could find really addressing it. I want to go ahead and read off a couple of stats from this article, and this is about the point in the show where I promised to post it in the show's description, and then like 3 or 4 hours later, maybe I do and maybe I don't. So please help me, keep me accountable, remind me to post this shit. I will be happy to do it. I will always be happy to go back after the fact and throw stuff in. But I've got a lot of shit going on, and honestly, I occasionally smoke the pot. Sometimes I forget. Um, Here's a couple of numbers from the article that they found, and hopefully I'll be able to find where they got those numbers from and post those as well. But again, Forbes magazine, Michael Schellenberger is the author, Forbes Online. The quote is, "The crisis is worsening. The number of homeless people in LA increased from 52,765 in 2018 to 58,936. Homelessness increased by 43% and 17% in Alameda County, which includes Oakland. The 43% is in LA. 17% in Alameda County and Oakland, 17% in San Francisco. Death on the street rose 76% in Los Angeles and 75% in Sacramento over the last 5 years. Murders and rapes involving the homeless increased 13% in 2017, 61% in 2018. And in 2019, the data shows that both death and homicides are continuing to rise rapidly. In comes Governor Handsome, Gavin Newsom, the man who looks like he should be, according to every TV show that you'll ever see, in charge and ruling mass groups of people. Hey, Martin, thanks for showing up, man. I appreciate that. Gavin Newsom was elected almost as the heir apparent to shepherd the state of California after our venerable and beloved Governor Moonbeam sold the fucking state to Nestle, the people who own PG&E, which oddly enough includes members of the Rothschild family, and real estate concerns. If you look at Gavin Newsom's trajectory as kind of shepherding the city of San Francisco after the cabal that was Willie Brown's administration, he's really the guy that opened the city up to the rampant gentrification, the 27% ghost apartment downtown where average rents are now and up to $4,500 for a fucking single bedroom. I'm not going to say that Gavin Newsom is single-handedly responsible for the gentrification of San Francisco, because he's not. But I don't believe that it could have happened at the scale and pace that it did without him being the mayor. Now, with several campaign promises that he's immediately shat upon. But he promised 3.5 million homes, not just homes, but affordable homes by 2025, 580,000 units a year. He promised to create a homelessness czar with the power of a cabinet secretary to, focus on prevention, rapid rehousing, mental health, and more permanent supportive housing. So, great. Awesome. Those are super promises. The number of people living outdoors has increased, and violence both by and against them has risen. And since Gavin Newsom has been elected, 30% one year, 37% in the other year. So by a magnitude of thirds. Yes, this is a global phenomenon, Martin. You're not wrong. I'm going somewhere with this. I am. And it's not necessarily a pleasant place. However, we do need to kind of go through this. when there are large numbers of homeless people in an urban population, like large, like we're seeing in LA with, you know, rapidly approaching 60,000 or more people. And look, for perspective, 60,000 people is, you know, your average stadium size. If you have ever been to a professional sporting event, sometimes double that, really, depending on the venue. Anyway, Soldier Field, I believe, is 55,000 people. If you've ever been to Soldier Field, that's how many homeless people are in LA. It is, aside from gross, it is fucking insane that we live in, or I live in a state with the world's fifth largest economy, with 60,000 homeless in its most populated city, with the streets of San Francisco literally running with human shit. I don't know if you've been to the city recently or if you're planning on going anytime soon, but it's like, it's real, dude. You'll roll down through the financial district, kind of get out onto the north end a little bit by the Civic Center, where the Bill Graham is, and you can watch a couple of transvestite hookers fight at like any time of the day. You can watch a bunch of people just straight crap on the street, because nothing says welcome to the land of financial excess of America like watching a homeless guy drop a deuce on the middle of the fucking sidewalk. It's savage. Is it illegal to feed the homeless there in places? Yes, absolutely. People have gotten fines. People have been locked up, or at least arrested and jailed and then released. There are a lot of places where it's illegal to feed the homeless. There are the problem that we're having in California now, like, aside from the fact that there's only a couple of different places that provide overnight shelter to homeless people. You have to be in by a certain time. You have to be, more often than not, a woman with kids. Like there's all kinds of hoops that you would have to jump through in order to be indoors at night, and you know, relatively safely, while being homeless here. I did not know that. Last year we had the UN Rapporteur on human rights call California's homelessness problem inhuman. But here's the thing. Both home prices and new construction have been dropping here in California. This is a sign, an early warning sign of a financial collapse, financial meltdown. California is one of the you know, leading indicators of either American success or American failure. So when new homes aren't being built, when money isn't going into renovating these homes, and while the costs of rents are still going up and skyrocketing, you're gonna get yourself some fucking homeless people. We have overvalued our real estate to the point to where only a certain number of people can afford to live here. By and large, the people that come here to live do not come here to be a supportive part of their community that has existed generationally in the state of California for like 100 years, close to 100 years. Close to 100 years. I could give you an example. One of my gigs is, you know, construction, carpentry, all that. It's based around the trades. I've done several house preps for home flips over the years, or people who are selling and who need their place like really decked out. So, we'll come in and we'll make the outside look tits and we'll make the inside look tits. And not only are less people doing that, but I was going somewhere else with that. It's been a long weekend. Um, I have workplace experience on what it looks like during a booming economy and what it looks like during an economic downturn. And one of the first things that happens is people skimp on the touch up and the rehab on their house and try and sell it as cheap as possible. We worked on a property not 2 years ago that listed for 1.7 million and ended up getting nearly 3 because of the way that the market was going. That parcel right next door to it, we just did a rehab on. That place has a bigger house, more privacy, and better sun. And right now, it's listing for 8.25. Less than half. Fucking incredible. We need to buy tracts of land, start nonprofits, and house people. There's so many charities that don't do squat. You know, this is a problem I have with a lot of nonprofit organizations and with nearly all political action committees, is that the priority is to pay themselves for the work that they're suggesting they do. When it comes down to actually doing the work, however, there's no money because you paid your staff or you paid your vendors. Some gross percentage of money that goes to like the top charities in the world, American Red Cross or Wounded Warrior Project, shit like that, dude. Less than 50 cents. And in the cases of the American Red Cross, I think it's less than 20 cents on every dollar goes to the actual thing that they're promoting. In terms of buying up tracts of land, here's what you got to think about, especially if you're looking for like a permanent or sustainable solution. Water rights, anything under the ground, mineral rights, you're trying to get that. You are trying to, if you're going to grow your own food, which is necessary on something like this, if you're going to buy large tracts of land and house people there, you need food source, you need the ability to farm. If you're going to farm and you're not going to farm seeds that are owned by Monsanto, you are going to have to find a way to keep Monsanto from seeding your crop, which is something that they have done over the generations in order to buy out family farms. They will claim that whatever you're growing is a hybridized version of their product. They own the rights to their product. So if they don't own 43% of everything you just sold, they're going to take it in court. I do like the idea. The other problem you have to look at is that the United States government has been burning out homesteaders since we started homesteading. One of the oldest tactics in the book to get undesirables off the land that they're on is to simply set fire to it. Here in California, we used to have wildfire season. Now it's this year. There is a lot of reason to believe that these fires aren't happening on their own, and I'm aware that PG&E is in a, was in a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit that Jerry Brown bailed them out of. Um, and those were certainly, fires caused by human error. I'm not talking about those fires. I'm talking about the fires that have the capability to melt steel on bridges and melt the aluminum rims from a car to the ground, but somehow leave a tree mere feet away from it perfectly unscathed. I'm talking about those fires. Lane County? I don't know where Lane County is. I'm sure I can find out where Lane County is, but it sounds Midwesty. Um, as someone who grew up in the Midwest, though, I would like to say that I'm not responsible for knowing all of the counties in the Midwest, just the ones that we were raised to hate because there was a lack of biological diversity in the area. So you have to hate the next county. Oh, but hey, rad. Uh, I gotta ask, Rogue Cow, if you are familiar with a woman named Roxanne Falkenstein, who is also in that area, and who is uh, a specialist in permaculture. Um, yeah, at any rate, if you don't know Roxanne, she's in your area. You should meet up with Roxanne. She is a phenomenal human being. Um, in fact, I will get you two set up if you are interested. Um, People look at the state of California as a failure of socialism when you have the uh, completely bass-backwards, fucking ridiculous, nonsensical, moronic CIA talking points from the 1950s as to what you're defining socialism as. California is a shining example of neoliberal failure, a shining example of how the caretakers of Reaganomics exploited what their party was supposed to stand for by getting into bed with every giant corporation possible and screwing over 100% of their voting base. But by the nature of duopoly politics, they can always point to a Republican and go, but that guy is a bigoted asshole. And at least you'll be getting robbed by someone who smiles at you and maybe looks like you. And that's the fucking trick. Uh, Fifth largest economy, largest homes population in the world. It's fucking absolutely ridiculous. Uh, and the solutions for it, of course, are all neoliberal think tank based and people who are um, involved in like Dianne Feinstein's husband's real estate consortium. And there's no solution for the homelessness problem that results in the overall cost of living going down in California or the overall wages that we have here rising to meet the cost of living. Um, we have modern day Hoovervilles. That's what these fucking tent cities are. They are no different than the Depression era Hoovervilles. The only difference being tent material, I'm gonna guess. Accessibility to hard drugs, maybe. That's about fucking it. Um, China has a ridiculous amount of investment in California. In fact, a lot of the ghost rentals that I mentioned earlier in the show are come from large Chinese corporations that buy up entire apartment units or a full city block of houses or some shit like that. And in order to make their books balance, they have to have X amount of dollars in loss. Every unrented apartment is a loss, and they can balance that way. There are also really rich tech people who will buy up a random condo or apartment here or there, and then it will sit empty all but a month out of the year, or all but 2 months out of the year, or all but 2 weeks out of the year. And that makes it a ghost rental because nobody's fucking there. Downtown Manhattan has a lot of those. Downtown Chicago has a lot of those. They're common in places where you'll find excessive homelessness and a lot of empty fucking buildings. I think that's enough for now. I will be back here in a little bit. I've got some other stuff I would like to cover. But until then, this has been Slow News Day. I'm Steve Poikinen, and good luck to us all. And now we're going to hang out and wait for my computer to catch up. Hooray.